Welcome to this episode of Physics for Show, where we explore the connections between science and the arts in the theatrical world. I am Rita Roy, and for the next few minutes, you will learn about work and energy as the Huntington Theatre Company undergoes the massive shift of its scenic studios out of the city and into a brand new production center. Although work doesn't always sound like fun, one must remember that shift happens. Deal with it. Like me, countless stagehands were hired to gently move the tools, machines, materials, desks, hardware, work tables, and supplies. In order to use labor effectively, the technical director must accurately calculate the transitional labor costs and use budgeted resources effectively. This is where we discuss what exactly work is. Work is defined as a force vector dotted with a distance vector, which means it's the amount of force applied to an object to move it some distance. For example, if I want to move a box from point A to point B across the floor, then I need to push it with force X. Work calculations can be better understood using calculus when we start moving at angles and summing multiple motions together. Now, let's picture the same box on wheels. It would take less force to make the same movement, right? The wheels provide mechanical advantage to the system. Mechanical advantage is gained when a simple machine, like the wheel, is used to either reduce the force needed for the intended result to still occur. It ultimately is a ratio of input force to output force. Moving everything by hand without mechanical advantage would have taken forever and cost the theater thousands more in labor costs. Our crew did many simple machines for mechanical advantage, like wheels, ramps, and levers. The best part, of course, was when we used complex machines for an even greater mechanical advantage, like the use of hydraulics, defined as the movement of liquids in a confined space under pressure. This was applied in terms of our hydraulic pallet jacks, forklifts, and even the moving truck had a hydraulic braking system. The crew began by packaging most of the items to be moved onto pallets. The pallet jacks and forklifts do the majority of the work now. Hydraulic pallet jacks are easy to use, but complicated to understand. Basically, they raise a heavy load inch by inch without dropping back down. The heavy load can now roll while in the lifted state. Once the pallet has reached the intended location, the pallet jack is triggered to lower in a controlled manner. They operate using fluid mechanics. Pumps, valves, and pistons, all working together to move the fluid through the system. Any fluid would do the job, but oil is mostly used to reduce the occurrence of rust in the machine. The oil starts in a storage chamber. The lever arm is moved up and down manually by the stagehand. Inside, the fluid is suctioned out of the chamber using the vacuum phenomenon and pulled into the next available space, which happens to be under the first piston. As the lever continues each up and down motion, the oil flows to raise the second piston and lift the heavy load up. This process repeats until the heavy load has reached a desired height, or until the system reaches its max. To lower, the pallet operator releases a butterfly valve, which discharges the oil back into the storage chamber. Now the whole operation can start anew. Hi, it's me, Rita. I'm here at the Huntington Theater's new production center, where we just moved in an entire scene shop, prop storage, prop shop, and paint shop. Everyone and everything that performs work needs a little something called energy. Energy comes in many forms: kinetic energy, potential energy, thermal energy, elastic energy, chemical energy, and radiant energy. The two major contradicting forms are potential energy and kinetic energy. A simple example is rolling a ball up a hill. When you are putting work into the ball by rolling it up the hill, you are increasing its gravitational potential energy. As the ball rolls down the hill, it transposes its potential energy into kinetic energy until it runs out of energy and comes to a stop. Potential energy is seen on the scene when my pallet jack is lifting up. Every time I pump the lever arm, I am increasing the potential energy in the system. Kinetic energy is best observed in my pallet jack when the butterfly valve is engaged. The oil flows until it has been completely relaxed to its state of rest. The mechanical energy of the system can be calculated easily with these two energies. According to the countless experiments, it has been found that energy is always conserved. This conservation of energy means that energy is never created or destroyed. It transforms from one form to another. The use of valves, pumps, and pistons converts energy from the human to potential energy in the system. It is at this point that the maximum of work is done. Once the system resets, the potential energy built up converts to kinetic energy as it lowers. Since potential energy is usually negative and kinetic energy is usually positive, the energies cancel themselves out. Ultimately, over time, the total energy of any isolated system in a constant frame of reference is always zero. More about energy can be found with a basic Google search or in any physics book. It's a fascinating miracle. Experimental arts and crafts time. Try to build a lifting jack using materials found in your home or school. Learn the resources around you and just play with the concepts of mechanical advantage and ideas of energy.
This transition of the scene shop and prop shop was a lot of labor, and in order to reduce labor costs, mechanical advantage was used.
The Huntington Theatre Company has expelled immeasurable amounts of energy and performed countless weeks of work to move metric tons of scenic gear. Personally, my back, arms, and legs thank Mechanical Advantage for all its assistance on this monumental task. We have even started building the next show called Merrily We Roll Along. As long as the stagehands can transport these newly built, very large scenic units into the city and onto the Huntington Avenue Theater stage using various methods of mechanical advantage, then the coming theater season will be rolling along merrily. Get seen on the scene with me next time.